I've given some thought to what I'll actually do with that 1 point I've got. And I think what I'll do is go for authority. Because I'm going to be working on a feminist agenda. Yeah, I'm at 38% of that. So if we spend 2 hours just harassing Joyce, then I'll have gained +2 authority, which I can use against Titus. And if I take off the thing, the clipboard, then I'll lose that -2. So that'll bring me up to an effective 2. And if I add one more, I'll have effective 3. Do I have any other items? No, it's bonus from items and thoughts. What is the minus? Which thought is giving me the minus authority? Oh, it's my communism. It's alright, it'll be made up for with feminism. God, I will be a communist, feminist, eventually homosexual. Where is it? I know I saw it in here. What is that? Glands. Overproductive honor glands. Finger pistols. Magnesium-based life form. Oh, right, magnesium. Right, okay. God, there's so much stuff in here. Homosexual, that's the one. Oh, homosexual underground. So it's not just homosexual. Well, I'm still gonna think it is. So let's toss that point into authority. There we go. Only hit -1 now. I still didn't remember what else did it affect? Did it take down visual calculus or something? Wait, where is it? Oh, there. I went right past it. No, but visual calculus is 5. Was it one of my other ones up here? I've got 5, 7, 5, 4, 6, 5. 7, 5, 4, 6. No, it's not that. I know it affects authority. Was it pain threshold? Did it bring that up? This is mostly 3s and 2s. Those are 4s and 5s. Or did it bring my... Oh, it brings up Inland Empire. I sacrifice authority for Inland Empire. For now, I'll keep it on, but when I go back to talk to Titus, I'm going to take it off. Oh, Miss Joyce. I'm back.
Good. What can I help you with?
I'm sure that I have more dumb things to ask you. What was it that I needed to... Did I need to press her on something? Or no, because it was about the boat. I got her to admit that it was a very bourgeois kind of boat that she's on. What can you tell me about the strike?
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets.
Or she smiles at that. What if I want to hear about trade secrets? What if I want to hear those?
First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Aliments. That gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus.
The octopus that straddles Revachol, the Emergencies Act, is the cornerstone of post-war Revachol, inseparable from the world it created.
Emergencies Act? That sounds very much like a Patriot Act or something. You know, a government puts it in after some disaster or something happens, just so that they have way too much reach. Alright, an octopus, I will slay it. How do I repeal it? Wouldn't want to disturb an octopus, no. I will slay it!
Good luck is only kept in place by the vested interests of half the civilized world, including your own.
What the ma'am means is that the Emergencies Act and the RCM both get their authority from the coalition government.
Okay, yeah, we get our authority from the coalition government. But that doesn't mean we get it from the Emergencies Act. The Emergencies Act gets it from the coalition government, so it's separate from us.
You'd be shooting yourself in the foot, in other words.
No, the way it's worded, come on, logic.
But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike.
What if I want to hear trade secrets? What is your role in this precisely?
I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
So she's making herself sound to be just a go-between, but I'm pretty sure she works for the Wild Pines, or is, like, in their pocket.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place.
It was pretty awful. Have you seen the body? Do you want to see it? It's kind of in a pile of goop right now.
Wait, she just admitted that the lynching and the strike are connected.
Oh, thank you, reaction speed. I did not pick that up. Yeah, it stopped after the lynching.
Now they won't even let me into the harbor. There's a 2-meter-20 racist behemoth blocking the gates.
Yeah, I've met him. Oh, you mean Measurehead?
Yes, Jean-Luc Measurehead.
She leans back and rolls her eyes. So the strike is connected to the lynching?
Yes, I believe there is a connection, but that's a subject for later.
Her eyes narrow. Why later? How were the talks going before the lynching?
Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
I've met some of these people. I can understand that.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
But the strike began in December.
Took you that long to get here, huh?
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike?
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive.
Okay, that's not sounding bad so far. They got overtime pay and a medical plan. These are things that they should have had. So, if they're getting aggressive now, what are they trying to ask for? Like vision and dental?
Ludicrous, even. It's meant.
Yeah, I see. So ludicrous. What happened to Gaumont? Their demands, scabs at the... Oh, did you put the scabs there? What do you think of Everard? Alright. What happened to Gaumont?
Mr. Clare told him to... How did he put it?
She pauses to compose herself.
Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see.
Okay, that isn't cool. Just because someone's short. He could have been, like... he could have been a short king. Probably not, though, if he's... Because I imagine he's probably also in the pocket of Wild Pines. Not cool, still.
Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the union.
What are their demands?
There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes. Every worker, a member of the board.
Most of the workers probably don't know what that means.
Yeah, they probably do not. But that, in a way, that's kind of like, you know, make the company public. Everybody has an investment in it. So, okay, I do kind of like it. I don't know what to think. Over-aggressive commie posturing. Seems like I have no idea about business. I like it.
Then you might also like their other slogan. Demand democracy.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Not hard communist enough for me. Oh, I want to say it's a good one, but no, I want to go full commie. But is that like actual communist, or is this like, you know, sarcastic communist? No, all right, I'll say it's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Personally, I don't think it has the same pizzazzo as every worker, a member of the board.
What exactly do they mean by it, though? What's the demand?
It's quite simple, you see. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision about what About anything, really. It needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal.
That would bring everything kind of to a standstill. I mean, okay, maybe democracy where you've got like a majority rule or something, but I don't know. That it does seem to be reaching a little far.
Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group.
Pretty funny, I have to admit. The workers can't be kings. The king is king. The king is dead. Long live the workers. Oh, yeah. The king is dead. Long live the workers.
That may well be. It's not up to me to decide who is king, but as negotiations go, it's not a swell start.
What are you going to do?
I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again.
Maybe they just don't want to work with you. There's something else going on. Not just that they don't want to work with you, but they don't want to end the strike for some reason. Maybe they're trying to starve them out, but then that's still like the strike. I don't know where I'm quite going with this, but I think Everard is up to something beyond just the strike.
And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags. A disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
Yeah, you haven't been in town yet, right? You've been on this boat.
I first heard it from the boyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
This checks out.
It does check out. Alright, did you put the scabs at the gate?
The scabs? You mean the huddled masses of Jamrock, come to plead for work where the union refuses to?
No, I mean the scabs.
Don't let her answer it herself.
No, I mean scabs. Let's call them strikebreakers. You put them there, right? You're right. I don't know what got into me. Some of that degenerate dock worker lingo is rubbed off on me. No, I mean scabs, since that is basically how I responded anyway.
If these workers were organized by Wild Pines or its affiliates, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you. Not yet, at least.
I see, so you're not denying that the company actually put them there.
It's implied. She's open to discussing this matter with you at a later occasion.
Right, that was the not yet at least. Right, what do you think of Everard?
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first.
Really?
Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt.
Good.
I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood.
Oh, I agree there. But God, she was saying it with a straight face. I was like, really? Really?
If you were to prick it with something sharp, you could see it oozing out. A knife, maybe? No, a rapier.
Yeah, this lady would definitely be more a rapier kind of person. Everard is a hero of the workers' movement. No, you sound like you're about to take a rapier to him.
Oh, heavens, no. We get along just fine. Yet, now that you mention it, I can't stop imagining that black treacle just dribbling down his double chin.
Yeah, that is Everard. I mean, I do want to side with the workers and all, but I don't trust Everard at all. That's Everard.
He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar.
Wait, he has a twin brother? There are two of them?
Yes. Edgar looks exactly
Oh,
like his brother.
poor Edgar.
Except for that lazy eye.
Oh, no.
He also talks exactly like Everard does. And when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see. with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues.
What about the union itself outside of the Brothers Clare?
The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that.
So, alright, she was saying that asking for things like medical and overtime was getting to be kind of ludicrous, but she also is kind of like, I respect that they were able to make this union. So she's not quite as like hardline strike breaker, and she's also willing to talk to me possibly later on about the strike breakers. She's not quite as like union busting as I thought she was. I mean, she's still very much in that on that side, but
Organized labor at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The Brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
She hesitates, looking for the right expression.
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, we are forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother. And your opinion, detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is...
So they don't really seem to be like they're really advocating. I mean, they did get a couple things. Like I said earlier, overtime and medical. But was that from this current iteration of the union, or was that back before the Clare brothers took over? Giant leech sucking the life out of Revachol. If they're a crime syndicate, then that could be true. Basically a socialist mob. I'm really not sure on this one, because but I am communist. I mean, so Kim says they're a mob and a crime syndicate. All right, maybe I should just not have an opinion.
Of course, officer.
One more thing. You said something happened in the elections.
I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the union. She disappeared.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore, or coming to work. Ever. End of story.
Did those brothers do something to this lady?
This forewoman, her name?
Sadly, the company records do not even give a name. She's just forewoman in private correspondence, Holly. I don't even know if it's a sir or given name, and I don't have access to the union's files.
Some kind of extortion. Yeah, it does seem like this is foul play.
Indeed. The company suspects foul play, but there's nothing they could do. It was a union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
Change the topic.
Of course. How else can I help?
Was that all about the strike? Or did we ask her about the lynching?
Quite a few things, I'm afraid.
She falls silent for a moment, contemplating something.
The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets.
Ooh.
For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi from Precinct 57. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41, Detective Dubois. I'm afraid Harry doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice.
Oh, And what happened to yours, Detective?
Uh-oh. She returns the lieutenant's badge and turns to you. Remember when my partner told you I had recently suffered from an unusual medical episode? My lost badge is related to it.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode?
It's possible after a night of heavy drinking, I lost all memory of my life and the world. I could have eaten it for all I know. I don't remember anything. Yes. Should just be honest. Yeah. No, I shouldn't. Or, well, I mean, this one is also true. I don't remember anything at all.
Oh dear. I suppose this does explain some of the more curious turns in our conversation.
She must have been suspecting something for a while now.
Oh, yeah, I would too if this guy were talking to me.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM.
Of course, I sympathize, but I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge.
Fair enough, all right. We have to find it anyway.
She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement.
My suggestion is 0. And I'm getting a -1 from an item. Okay, maybe I'll hold that. So I can come back and try this later when I've got a couple more points. I mean, she's got some sympathy for me, but ugh. All right, I'll find it somehow.
Of course. But before we do, officers, let me be perfectly clear. The situation is extremely volatile. The sooner we can speak about this lynching business, the better for all of us.
Okay, oh, I've got more questions about reality.
More lessons in basic reality? My favorite part of the day. Go ahead, ask me anything.
What times are these?
These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000th of a second too late.
Too late for what?
For the big time.
Is this about disco? Her eyes light up. There's a flash of teeth.
The revolution.
Oh. And what is this revolution I keep hearing about?
It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle.
Who got shot in the head? I guess one of the kings.
Those would be the communists.
Oh, the commies.
Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the World
40
Revolution.
million?
But the communists, they all got shot in the head. Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them well. So well, one forgets they even existed.
She likes the totality of it.
I see that. You could say they got totally shot in the head. Should I just let conceptualization take that one away? Sure, why not?
Indeed. They piled them in mass graves in Ozon. And, well, that's the last anyone heard of those people.
Did the communists and the anarchists shoot back? Oh, or was this a one-sided thing?
Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people.
Oof. I mean, it is a tragedy. Truly a kerfuffle. Now that is a tragedy.
Yes. The Red Deluge. The Insulindian Deluge, they call it.
I had a deluge too in my head. Point to your little head.
Yes. An acute thiamine deficiency can be exacerbated by alcoholism. Exacerbated means made worse.
Anyone else get also, are you saying I have a thiamine deficiency? How can you know that? Do I need some thiamine? Kim? Do we need to go to Frita? Anyone else get shot in the head on the opposing side?
Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. Just as well, he wasn't actually the king. Just the king's nephew. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad.
Yeah. I mean, it was smart of him to do that, but still cowardly.
I prefer the term risk-averse. King Guillaume was nobody's fool. He could smell a PR disaster brewing, so he got out alive, and his nephew Fricelle got shot in his place. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time.
And who got the mineral rights?
The liberals got the mineral rights. And by mineral rights, I mean everything.
And by the liberals, you mean?
Liberals are usually middle-class people, Detective. Or the remaining gentry. The beneficiaries of the pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the Constitution, with monarchy. Big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the Ultras, or Ultraliberals. They fared well.
How did the liberals win it all?
They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember?
We. She's one of them. Of course.
Right. Yep. If everyone got shot, who was there to surrender to?
To foreign intervention. The coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights.
Wait, yeah, you just said the liberals took everything.
The liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The coalition took the ground. The ocean, the laws, and the people.
So, I mean, even... So she's, like, calling herself middle class, right? But then she's saying that the coalition came and actually took everything that they had. So, like... Right. Who are the coalition?
The coalition of nations. Grad, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Oranje, and Sur-la-Clay. The armed center of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do.
Moralist?
The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights, and not shooting people in the head. At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol now, the coalition government. This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist.
No, say it ain't so.
The color of moralism is blue. The official motto of Moral Intern, or Moralist International, is a blue forget-me-not, a piece of grey sky. Unofficial. For a moment, there was hope.
I don't think I'm a moralist, not just technically, practically. For a moment there was hope. If always picking the option that doesn't commit to anything, then hell yes. And I am, and I am also not. I don't think I'm a moralist, ma'am.
Of course. Not easy to be moderate about head shooting in your line of work.
Rooty tooty, pointy shooty.
Say it out loud, okay.
That's the way of history.
When was this kerfuffle?
The turn of the century revolution? Don't answer it. It's a trick question. The revolution began in '02 on the Isla of Grad, though by the end nearly the whole world had gotten involved.
Who started it?
It wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of Zarat, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Mazov came along and overthrew the government.
What did this Sarat do?
It made people overthrow their governments.
Okay, but what about the disease part of it? I mean, you don't get a disease that makes you overthrow the government. Wow, really?
Of course not. It was a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark.
It was a funny time in history. They discovered transistors and rock music, but they didn't know anything about prions. Nobody did.
Where did it spread from there?
From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Mazov's government was overthrown in '08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end.
And what came next?
Why? You and I, officer. Our lives in the zone of control.
Something tells you her life and yours are not that similar. Maybe it's because she has a boat and you have that necktie? A pair of pants?
Our lives are very different from each other.
No doubt. But we share the same time and position on the planet's crust. That counts for more than you think.
What is the zone of control?
A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the Coalition of Nations, and you, of course, the citizens' militia. The zone of control is the third incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the suzerain and the commune.
What happened in the rest of the world?
Modernity. They developed the marvels of the inter-eastlery communication, telematic milieus, radiation, colored plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade.
Is that the place that's like Coal Town and all those other terribly named places?
51 minus 8 equals 43.
So you're saying it's been like this for 43 years.
Time flies.
What have we been doing all that time?
The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river leveled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. '08 to 19 was simply hell.
And after that?
The 30s? Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere.
All that untaxed income must have fueled the new. That can only mean one thing.
That's when they discovered disco.
Yes, and quantitative easing. It was a market mirage, unfortunately. The 40s dispelled it. An Isla-wide hangover, you might say. So, here we are.
She curtsies.
Welcome to reality, baby.
For her to be where she is, Wild Pines Group must have picked the right side.
You know, I actually don't hate this lady. What side was Wild Pines Group on?
They picked the winning side. That's why they're here, and others are not.
They got lucky.
Perhaps it wouldn't have turned out that way had I been in charge. I might have bet on the king and led the Pines to doom.
You would have sided with the king?
I would have sided with the cannons. If you'd seen the calibers of the things, you might have too. Perhaps it's better I was born when I was. 10 of the 14 Indo tribes got it wrong. Feld, Kupri, Tricentennial. So I suppose I would have been in good company.
So 10 of the 14 Indo tribes. Does that mean like 14 tribes that lived in or around Revachol? Because we're on a very large island, right? So 10 of them. Does this mean that 10 of them were like exterminated or like just beaten down very badly? What would you have done differently?
Good question. What would you have done differently?
Who are you in all this? I would have sought a medical solution. Sounds like Sarath drove those people mad. I mean, they also didn't know what prions were. I would have killed more. I would have positioned myself very precisely. I would have made it out with all the mineral rights. Well, I mean, she did say that she would probably have sided with the king because he had the guns. I mean, this would have been the best thing to do to find a medical solution, but I know that it's going to lead back to, well, they didn't even know germ theory.
So a quarter of humanity simply lost their minds. And how would you stop a prion, a complex folding protein, unlife, with the technology 50 years ago?
Some hygiene, modest social care, and perhaps a little research. Liquidate the rabid prion-infested dogs. Oh god. With cleansing artillery fire. With privatized healthcare and a work ethic that... maybe it's impossible. I mean, I don't know if that would do it, but... research could help something? I mean, if they at least figured out what it was.
Good hygiene. Really. A very moderate solution to an extreme problem. It's those sort of half measures that doomed the authorities in Grad.
Is that what they tried to do?
When they failed to step up, Marzov and his party stepped in. In this particular case, maybe a more robust state response might have been appropriate.
Opinions expressed here do not reflect the official position of the RCM.
Kim over here being our dubious disclaimer.
And what is your official position, Lieutenant?
Yeah, Kim, what do you think?
My position, ma'am? My parents got ripped to shreds in the revolution. I would have gone the same way. I was saved by being 2 years old. That's my position. The abattoir.
Understandable.
That's enough about the times.
They are what they are. Who knows? An afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know?
Not so fast. Who is she in all this? Ask her who she is. She owes you an answer.
Oh, Rhetoric really wants me to come back to this, huh? I want to know what you are.
She won't maneuver her way out of this one.
What are you?
I am the vilest of the vile. A traitor, a devourer of nations and infants. I am an ultra.
An ultraliberal, huh?
She raises the corner of her mouth, smirking, revealing a canine.
Dios mio, a liberal. I liberate pretty hard myself. So, okay, she did talk about the ultraliberals, but all right, tell me again. Refresh my memory, because I know she said that the liberals are like the middle class, but then what, the ultraliberals are just ultra middle class?
An ultra-liberal. It's a type of liberal. From the revolution. It's, not the moderate kind.
I don't understand what's so vile about that.
Haven't you heard? I am a nether creature of the Forbidden Swamp. One of those who pushed the king under a shit wagon and betrayed the revolution. I can see you thought I'd gone extinct. No sane person identifies as an ultra-liberal anymore. Not in broad daylight. You're a centrist at heart. A real moralist. Tell me, now that I've uncoiled myself, do you find me frightening?
In her green eyes, you see a mixture of truth and self-satire. Decades of guilt and pride.
I mean, I don't care what she is. And, I mean, if they got rid of the king... You know what? I don't care.
A fitting punishment. To be forgotten, if not forgiven. Save a prayer for us in our chateaus on Ozon and in Stella Maris. When the dust settled, the liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future. This was all our last generation managed.
Okay, so she was saying the ultra-liberals are like the people who have become rich now. Okay, well, I guess with that, I could have answered it a little differently. But, Would you have done something differently?
With due respect to our overlords, the eternal caretaker government that keeps Martinez a monument to the efficacy of its artillery, I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the Coalition. Not here in Martinez, and not in the Stella Maris or Delta Beachheads either. If not for my own sake.
She realizes her small, cold fists are clenched. She loosens them.
Then for my daughters. We had an obligation to defend our sovereignty. We should have burned the whole Isola down rather than let them have it.
Dark orange flames reflect in her green eyes. An oil fire on the ocean.
I do actually like her. I'm really growing to like her as a character. You know what? You're a smart woman.
Perhaps. My intellectual vanity will be my undoing.
You're no dummy yourself.
I do have high logic, right? So am I. Or no, or intellectual vanity will be no. So am I.
A smart boy getting smarter. One basic term of reality at a time.
I'm doing my best. So you're a patriot.
Yes, I suppose I am. But I wouldn't be a patriot anywhere but here.
Seditious talk, man.
The lieutenant puts down his notes and gives her a look. You have daughters?
Yes. Whatever else I am, I'm also a mother and a wife. Now, shall we return to reality?
Wait, I got one more for you. What is this?
A bird? A sphenicid? A flightless bird of the polar regions?
I keep guessing. Am I really that awkward? Yeah.
Of course you're not, my dear. I'm just terrible at guessing games.
I meant, what is this place here?
Ah. This is the pier of Rue de Saint-Ghislaine, 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot. Or two.
What is Rue de Saint-Ghislaine 33A?
A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. And new buildings, bâtiments. After les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux. They're old.
She looks up at the crumbling facade.
This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high-rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was before the war, of course.
Who lived in them?
Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate, before the cannons lopped 4 or 5 stories off. Splat, splat.
From a dilapidated balcony, Cindy the Skull gives Joyce the evil eye, her red paintbrush held to her throat.
You could be wrong, but from here it appears as if she's running the brush across her throat in a soaring motion.
I mean, no, that seems about right.
Wonderful.
What is that? Point to Cindy the Skull.
The girl in the old lady rags.
No, I meant something. No, yes.
Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of a teen infraculture.
Infra-culture? Like within culture? Not like a subculture?
Yes. You and I belong to the supraculture.
I see, okay.
We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant, those are all too popular for the girl in the old lady rags. She prefers a fantasy world, an infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture.
I understand everything. Make it more complicated somehow.
I can't. That's how simple it is. One may dye their hair green and wear their grandma's coat all they want. Capital has the ability to subsume all critiques into itself. Even those who would critique capital end up reinforcing it instead. All right. What next?
Suddenly, you're not so sure you're part of the supraculture.
I think I may be part of an infraculture.
And what would that be?
I mean, in a way, all of those could work. Cop, disco. I don't know, I just feel it. I don't know. I just maybe disco. That would be good if I were going more like, I guess it's what, the super cop style rather than the sad cop, like superstar. I don't know. I just feel it.
Ah, yes. That is what counts, I suppose. For my part, I was more of a new girl.
The new?
The new. A cultural era. And the name of the decade it ravished, the 30s. It came out of post-revolutionary Revachol. It was ultraliberal.
I see. More of that.
It involved lots of partying, as you might imagine, and champagne-colored everything. By the looks of it, that would have been when you came of age. Now.
She raises her eyebrow at you. Sounds fun. I can't remember a single thing. Champagne? That doesn't sound like anything I'd be into. I'm straight edge. Got it. Let's take it back to reality. Sounds fun. I can't remember a single thing.
Wasn't it Guillaume Le Million who said, if you can remember the new, you weren't there?
Wait, Guillaume Le Million. I was just thinking about that guy. Whatever happened to him?
Ah, yes. This is not very central to reality, is it?
I still want to know.
I can't be 100% sure, but I believe he died due to complications from venereal disease.
Oh, no. Which one?
All of them.
Are you sure he didn't die of autoerotic asphyxiation?
You can't get a venereal disease from that, can you?
No, but I mean, he could have had it at the same time. So you're saying he didn't vanish into a puff of stardust?
I'm afraid no. But then again, one can't be entirely sure. It's all part of his mystique. Ask someone else and you may get a more champagne-colored take. Anyway, what other basic facets of reality should we discuss?
Hey, let's see if I can pass any of these. 28%. I got 2 Esprit de Corps. RCM can access ICP database, RCM authority comes from the coalition, and RCM Kim brief done. Try it out. 28%. This is like a 1 in 4.
It remains a mystery what you mean by this something close. This isn't about you. It's about reality.
I gotta get more Esprit de Corps. Alright. Oh, this one I'm not gonna be able to do. What is... 3%?
A strange coldness comes over you as you look at the world. The waves sway the sloop slowly. That's all. It's on the tip of your tongue, a doubt of sorts already in your head, but it's not fully formed yet. You have to wait and return to this later, once the jamais vu thought is complete.
Jamais vu? What was jamais vu? Derealization. Feels like the most important of all the thoughts, the one you truly must complete. Do I have another point? You know what? Why don't I just open that up? If it's so important, you know, it feels like the one I must complete. All right, let's give it a try. It also doesn't give me any temporary bonuses, which is kind of nice. All right, there we go. Okay, that's all of this for now.
Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know.
Do you know
Anything else?
Do you know anything about these tattoos?
That's the man who was killed. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question.
So you know something about the tattoos?
Better not tie the forestay to the backstay on this. I hope there is something else I can help you with.
I spoke to your best friend Everart.
You have? And how did you like Mr. Clare?
He's a beautiful man, beautiful and just. Hero of the workers' movement. Oof. Bloated rainbow socialist. For a socialist, he's reasonable. He is not the champion I've chosen. It's not important if I liked him. I was doing my job. No, I didn't.
Oh, come on now. He has his uses. How else would he have stayed in power all these years? Or wait, actually...
She answers her own question.
Corruption. That's how he's done it. Fantastic, worm-like corruption, reaching into the bowels of the earth.
She looks at the ground and nods.
The position of my unusual colleague does not reflect official policy. I hope you understand. The RCM does not pick sides.
I cannot like a guy and not pick sides.
Of course. And I don't expect you to share anything he told you with me. I'm not a corrupt worm myself. However, if you felt like discussing something...
She's trying to get it out of me, though.
How could I stop you? Are we not human? Are we not curious to hear another person's take? It's only natural. We would only be gossiping.
I see what you're doing, Joyce.
Intellectually speaking, it would be quite interesting to hear what she has to say about these things.
It would, though. Yeah. You know what? Fine. All right. He's helping me find my gun.
Oh. That's so helpful of him.
I don't think he's doing it out of kindness.
The lieutenant looks at you, and you can swear his jaw muscle is trembling. He's able to contain the anger and surprise.
He is so composed.
And conventional police officers sometimes lose their guns. They then go around and tell people about this to gauge their reaction. It's all part of detection.
Incredible. Simply incredible. And how is it going? Has this detecting produced a gun?
Mr. Everard says it's almost ready to be found soon. Mr. Everard is helping me find my gun. No.
Well, maybe he's not as helpful as you thought then. Is there anything else?
Something else then.
Of course, Detective. Should something come up later down the road, don't be afraid to drop by for a chat. Until then, is there anything I can help you with?
Oh, there were other things I could have said about Everard, right? Oh well. Thank you, that's all for now. Is Kim gonna be like, why did you say that?
What's this? We're getting reports of normal, reasonable, temperate, political opinions somewhere in Martinez.
You know, I was wanting to be communist, but I'm not liking all these communist answers. So maybe am I turning reasonable? I'm a real radical. That's me, Mr. Reasonable. It's because I keep saying none of the above to political stuff. Oh, come on, I'm a real radical.
Of course, a radical
Oh, the
centrist.
worst kind.
In these bright and loud times where 1,000 frequencies drown one another out, sober thinking is a radical act. It's time to become a citizen of the kingdom of conscience.
Hey, first, where is this kingdom?
It is not a place. It is a moment in time that can only arise in the right circumstances. In all of human history, it's only been achieved a handful of times.
How do you bring about these circumstances?
Incrementally.
Ugh.
History's greatest catastrophes have been brought about by people trying to make the world a better place. Too quickly. That's the genius of Dolores Day. She recognized that progress is meaningless if its gains are lost because of instability. Real, lasting change can only come about gradually, increment by increment.
No, I want radical change. What about all the things that are wrong now? What if the kingdom of... Yeah.
Tisk tisk. Just because you live in the present doesn't mean you have the right to place your needs above the needs of the future. You may never live to see the kingdom of conscience. Your children may not. Even your grandchildren might not. But that's no excuse not to keep working.
No, I don't like this.
What rationality? What sang-froid?
Wait, is the Kingdom of Conscience really about doing things or just preserving the status quo?
Do you believe the status quo is preferable to chaos and bloodshed?
Does chaos and bloodshed lead to something better? Sometimes you gotta rip off the Band-Aid. No.
Then you've never lived through real chaos. Sometimes, in the face of great disaster, defending the status quo is progress.
Okay, but what's the Kingdom of Conscience actually like?
The kingdom is difficult to comprehend, and even more difficult to describe. Partly because humanity will need to discard many of the categories that define and limit it today. The Kingdom of Conscience is post-capitalist, post-national. It's also post-industrial, post-ideological, and even post-sexual.
That seems fine. I want to live for the present. Sounds kind of terrible. I don't think I want to be a moralist. No, I don't want to be a moralist. I don't like it. Opt out.
What you want is immaterial. The Kingdom of Conscience is coming, whether you like it or not. Only very slowly.
Too slowly. It's coming, and I won't even be here for it, so it doesn't even matter. Is that girl gonna call down to me? No. Okay, this is that wall, right? What do I need for this?
Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here.
Well, the sound is getting all weird. I don't know if you guys will hear that or if it's just on my side. Maybe it's something with my headphones. Okay, I can retry this. You have a keen aesthetic sensibility. Cindy's artistic impulses are infectious. 28%, come on. Yes!
Because you see it, finally. This wall is sublime. Look at it. The shadows, the colors.
Let the conceptual joy flow into your pupils and blossom into thoughts in your brain.
All the other walls on all the other houses must make a pilgrimage in adoration of this, the uncontested pinnacle of wallcraft, color peeled from the very face of God.
Or,
Oh, wall father.
Kim, I must paint this wall. Add even more beauty to it. Or, no, there's nothing to add to perfection. Oh, can we paint it? Kim, I must paint.
Huh? He sounds tired of it all. Cindy the Skull has all the necessary materials. Talk to her.
First, I know you're tired, Kim, but take another look at this wall. Draw nourishment from its beauty.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
The lieutenant looks up at the wall reluctantly, then back at you. I must talk to Cindy, get the necessary materials from her.
If you must.
Oh, add even more beauty to the wall. Oh, Kim, we're gonna make it so beautiful. Although it's exactly an hour right now, so we'll talk to Cindy next time. I don't have any other points, do I? I'm at 29 of 100. And I think I'm also still waiting on yeah, I'm at 79 for feminism. I've got 47 minutes left. So even though I spoke with Joyce all day long, it wasn't enough. But talking to Cindy should do it. So next time we'll become a feminist, and we'll paint a wall, and also go and talk to Titus with our new authority. And I'll have to remember to take off the clipboard when I do it, because otherwise it's not going to go well. Or I could leave the clipboard on because I'll have an extra point, and so that means that I could retry the. I could just retry it right now because every time you get a point in it, you can retry the white checks. But God, that that went so poorly before. Okay, that's it for today. That's the plan for next time. So I'll see you then. Good night.